I'm Juan Diaz. I'm a fourth year and I'm from Oakland studying conservation and research studies. I went to a small public high school in East Oakland called Coliseum College Prep Academy. It's near the Coliseum and it's grades 6 through 12. This school is outside my neighborhood, so I was supposed to go to a high school called Castlemont High School, but luckily I got into Coliseum College Prep and it was about 10 to 15 minutes on a bus ride, so I'll take bus every morning. My mom had a friend whose kids went there or when the school opened, and there was a lot of positive comments about this school, so my mom decided to apply there and have us stick middle school and high school at this school. So it's a lot easier for her and it reduces the hassle of looking for a different high school. You know, once transitioning from 8th grade to high school, it's very difficult and choosing what high school is best for you. So my mom tried to avoid that as much as possible. It was a college preparatory school. So basically, having that title part of their name has to do with a lot of their preparation for college, preparing these students for college. And I guess they did a really good job doing that. Just because I was constantly just sitting with advisors. We had people come in and help us with applications. I think the best part was definitely college, transitioning to college and the college application process. Just because there were so many of us that just were getting in like every week. And our class was about 30 students. Our graduating class was about 30, 40 students. So 98% or about 98% of our class actually went to a 2-year or 4-year university, which is, I guess, a pretty good statistic for a public school in Oakland. I guess I really liked that it was a college preparatory because, I mean, I was in after school programs. I was doing a lot of sports. Just now we didn't have a lot of clubs or anything or extracurriculars, but I try to stay myself busy, keep myself busy, especially with like AP classes and take as many AP classes as I could, simply because they didn't offer as much as other high schools. But I guess just the way they handled students. I guess with me, I was a at-risk youth at the beginning when I first started middle school, and they wanted to kick me out. They were just done with me. They were basically giving up on me. I know my behavior was unacceptable, but they tend to give up on a lot of students once they don't do well. For example, a lot of times they're students who are not doing well or GPA might not be high enough to graduate. So what they do is send them to a continuation school just because they know they're not going to make it into our class or class graduation. So what they do is try to send others students to a different continuation school so they could finish those credits and get their GPA up. Which kind of sucks because the school is like in the hills and it's pretty bad. But I did notice like, well, I don't know if it's true, but I feel like part of it has to do with the statistics. For example, they want to make sure the school looks good and having the highest percentage of students graduating. But what they're not recording are the students that are being left behind or being pushed out of the school. So I think that's what I didn't like about my school, that they just gave up on a lot of people, including some of my friends. It was not diverse at all. The majority of students were Latinx, uh, and half, not even half, I think less than half were African American, and we had like, yeah, it was just Latinx and African Americans students. Um, Basically, what I grew up around, which is totally completely different than Berkeley, just because I mean here you got different diversities from people all over the world. And at my school, I mean, I went from a school of 30 students, seeing the same people every day to just seeing like new people every single day. But my school was not diverse at all. I think I was in a bubble within my high school. It was just I didn't experience the same things I experienced now, I guess. Majority of students were definitely lower income. A lot of us, I mean, are from Oakland or around the area, around the school. A lot of my friends were actually around the school. I think I was the only one who was actually further from that school. So I think everyone was just part of like that bad area of Oakland, most of them, if not all. So a lot of us did come from a lower class background. I've heard about it, but I mean, it's something I would like to explore. But yeah, I don't really know much about it. I feel like it is. I think you still see it. For example, if a student wants to go to a good school and is from a certain area but isn't allowed, or the district doesn't allow it to go different district, a lot of times those families or those students still do it, but they get in trouble or they get some sort of jail sentence. Like I've seen this in the news where a mother put a student in a different school that was not supposed to be the district that he was supposed to be in. So I think she got fined and she got sentenced for in jail for I think a couple months for doing that. So I think I can still see it just by them not allowing people. I don't know, and also like now we really didn't have much diversity, so I guess that's still segregating us from being with other students or students from different socioeconomic backgrounds. I wasn't around much with wealthier folks or even white folks, to put it blunt, but it's something that I experienced later once I was transitioning to college. So I think that definitely still exists, especially in low income communities and just communities that historically have are not doing well. I don't know if even that school segregation counts as like school shutting down or like certain schools shutting down. But I've seen a recent school shut down, so I don't know if that's still part of it. But definitely, I guess being not being exposed to certain things or just individuals in general. I think that was one of the major impacts because once I did get exposed to a different environment, for example, during my ACT exam, I had to take it elsewhere in a wealthier area, and literally I was around a lot of white students, and it was something I was never familiar with, and it was really uncomfortable. I was not concentrated on the exam. I was just focused on like, oh, what the heck are they maybe thinking about me, or do you think they're judging me, or like what is this brown kid doing here? Where's school? It's just a lot of questions kind of went in my head. I think that's definitely one of the impetus because you kind of doubted yourself, or you tend to compare yourself to others and be like, oh, I'm not as good as them. But in reality, you are. I ended up at Cal, which is great, and I'm fortunate enough to be there. But definitely, that was my first ever experience something like that. And I mean, also I was lucky enough to experience that even before college, because if it was during college, I think it would be totally different. I think I would have probably still not been in school just because of I remember the uncomfortableness that I felt during that day, and I think if I didn't experience that during that time and it actually happened at Cal, I wouldn't have still been here. I strongly believe so, especially to just educate. I think, like I mentioned, we were like within my high school, we were in a closed bubble, so we didn't know what other people were going through. It was just brown folks and African American folks who were just connected. But in reality, we didn't know outside of this little world that we were in. We didn't know what it was like interacting with others, from within our neighborhood. So I think definitely diversity has to do not only because it teaches students about like everywhere or literally something new, but also just prepares them for life. Specifically students of color, I guess, because a lot of them tend to be in school, public education, and majority of it's Latino. So I think it's definitely a great way to just prepare students for the real deal and like just everyday life, especially within teachers. I don't know if that's also a part of the question, but not only students, but within like even the hierarchy, like principal, I think a lot of that has to be diverse just because as students we could connect with them or feel like we could relate to them. But so definitely has to do with staff, just students, and just having a diverse educational system. But yeah.